Hello, my camera is doing something wonky, so I'm just gonna ignore it. As long as y'all can see me, we Gucci, we good in the hood. As long as we are online, we're doing it correctly. It's okay. Let me just check real quick and see if I'm actually live in the book club. I just realized that I didn't put this up on the calendar on the website. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm operating at like 15%, and I'm just too many things are happening all at once on top of the world burning. So like occasionally things slip my mind. But if you read the newsletter, then that's how you really keep up to date, because we do get everything into the newsletter. Everything goes into the newsletter. Sometimes I might personally forget to put things up on the website because I do all the updates on the website. But I'm going to give everyone a second to join while I open up. Ooh, did I freeze? I'm looking at myself on Facebook. Let me get my syllabus up for Such a Fun Age, which was drafted by Morgan and edited by Chloe. And I keep flipping it because I keep thinking Chloe did it and she did her feminism, not Such a Fun Age. Okay, so let's get into this discussion because it's about to be a good time. I hope y'all are here to turn up. I'm gonna be drinking my water because we're trying to be healthy right now. I think part of operating at 15% during a pandemic, I have to make better decisions about, my health. Because it's easy to get swallowed up. So I'm just trying to be small to not be drinking by myself too much, okay? Okay. All right, are people here? Is anybody joining? Did folks forget? Do I need to send out a newsletter? Can people say hello? I don't know. Well, you're in Italy, aren't you, Tanisha? How did you almost miss this? What time is it over there? 10 p.m.? Why are you going to watch? Did it freeze on YouTube? Is that why someone from Facebook is saying that they're going to watch it on YouTube? Oh, Tanisha. Girl, you double posting. Y'all done talk so much in the Facebook group about this book. Y'all done had all the questions, all the comments, all the fuckery. So I expect you to be joining me for this discussion about Such a Fun Age. I don't know. Was it announced on Instagram? Maybe, it might be my fault. It was in the newsletter. Oh, you know what? We just sent the newsletter out at 2 p.m. today. Check your me. It's an event. I mean, if you're in the Facebook group, though, there's an event. The problem with Facebook is that, like, you can only invite 250 people in the group to an event, and we have almost 2,000. We're about to hit 2,000 people in the group. So, like, and yeah, I mean, maybe like 600-700 of you open the newsletter, and I don't know how many of that 600-700 actually reads to the bottom of the newsletter, but I feel like I put it in the newsletter. There's at minimum there is an event in the Facebook group. I did do that. Matter of fact, let me screenshot it and show it to y'all because the little meme I used was hilarious, and I was like so excited about it, and there were a few comments. Okay, I'm just trying to tell y'all, if I don't do nothing else, I do the newsletter. I might be a bit haphazard, okay? My see, look, I can't even say the word. That's how bad I am at it. So, oh, look, don't even have the logo on the screen. Be a bad bitch, okay? Be a savage. Classy, bougie, ratchet, okay? The logo, all right? Let's do the branding correctly, smartbrowngirl.com. If somehow you landed on this on YouTube, you're like, what the fuck is going on? It's a book club, SBG. I know that the name of the book club is pretty binary, but everyone is welcome of all genders. You're all welcome to join the book club. Matter of fact, for next month's read, it's going to be nigga full, so invite the fuckboys in your life. Invite the niggas that have wasted your time to come get their edges dragged by bell hooks and Kiese Lamone. Okay? let's do that. All right. Oh yeah, that's what I was doing. I was adding the meme. Thank you. See, look, I get so distracted. This is probably why it was not. I forgot to put it on the website and then didn't add it to the book club. Here we go. Here's the meme. See, look, I just want to show you. Jouelzy loves live chats. Post all the events in the group, and I posted it in the group 4 p.m. today. Okay? Maybe I didn't put it in the newsletter. Maybe I just sent the newsletter out today at 2:30. So I imagine a lot of people are going to miss it. Oh, I was checking the Instagram to see if Christina put it up on the Instagram. We were so focused on getting the questions in for Black Feminist Thought, because every time we do an author chat, we have to we really got to push for y'all to put them questions in. Y'all just be like, I don't think I'm smart enough. And I'm like, that's not the point. Every question's a good question. And it's I'll have 2 questions up until the day the form closes. And I'd be stressing dag, how are we going to have this conversation? Because the questions I want to ask are some other shit. And you're going to be looking at this this was not the conversation I was trying to have. Nope, I want the part to be on this side. Okay, let's get into this. It's a mess already, just like the book. Let's discuss. All right. First of all, that meme is my favorite meme. When people be in my DM, not in my DMs, but sometimes my DMs too on Instagram. When people be in my Twitter mentions with some dumb shit, that is the meme I hit them back with. Because I'm not trying to be rude and be like, why the fuck are you here with your dumb shit? And I feel like that encapsulates that entire feeling, without slandering people. Everyone gets it. Okay. So, for the July general track, we read Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. Now, I'm not claiming this in past tense because it's only July 18th. Today's the 18th or the 19th. What day of the week it is? It's Saturday. It's the 18th, okay? It is only July 18th. And our book club, as I'm going to say until I'm blue in the face like this cover, is evergreen. So it doesn't matter when you decide to join in on a reading. You can always join in on the discussion and bring the books back up, even if we are in new months. And so I know some people are still getting their book. I set my Audible credit to my mom. Let me actually text her and remind her to bring her ass along. Okay. But yes, so the tea about this book is, even before I selected this book for the month of July, I was hearing about this with people. I don't know if it was in the Smart Brown Girl DMs or in my DMs, and there's been a lot of press around this book. It is a new release for this year. It's by Kylie Reid, who I believe she went to the Iowa Writers Workshop, which is a prestigious master's program for creative writing. And I think it kind of came up in context of Little Fires Everywhere and that coming out on Hulu. And then it's have you read that book? And then if you've read that book, have you then read Such a Fun Age? And I heard that there were a lot of mixed reviews from the audience that I was hearing from, particularly from grown Black women. They were kind of particularly about the ending of the book. And so I kind of put off selecting this book because our insiders did recommend this book pretty early on. And I kind of put off, selecting it because I was just oh, well, we're not really young adult. And I know BookTube loves young adult, but I think there's enough coverage for the young adult scene. I don't think there's enough coverage for other parts of Black women literature. So, I wanted to read the other parts of Black women literature. But then I also realized those other parts tend to be very traumatic, very sad, heavy endings. Very oh my gosh, do I have to be reminded that the lived experience of Black women is about the collective struggle? Word to Dr. Collins, right? Chapter 2 of Black Feminist Thought. But I just read that shit this morning. That's the only reason I'm bringing it up. I promise you, I'm not this intellectual. But I DM'd Kylie on Instagram trying to get her to join for an author chat. She did not reply to my DMs. And she doesn't, I I don't know if she checks her DMs. I don't know. I scrolled her profile. It doesn't seem like she posts very much. And I understand why so many white women read this book, have read this book and loved it. And that also kind of made me cautious because, like, do we trust the white women? I don't know. You know, we have to move forward cautiously. Now, I realized I was picking a lot of books with very heavy endings, homegoing, not a heavy ending, but like reading about the history of like the slave trade and colonialism is like, wow, depressing, right? This constant reminder that the lived experience of Black women is about a struggle in some way or form, right? Then we get Women of Brewster Place and The Two. Oh my gosh. Sula and just like, what the fuck was that? And then what else did we read? Well, Eloquent Rage wasn't really, Eloquent Rage was like, yes, girl. Hood feminism was like, yes, girl, but like, damn, girl, but yes, girl. And When Chicken Heads Come Home to Roost was very much like a yes, girl book. So I wanted to give us a collective break because we do a lot of heavy reading. We do have, and I wanted more people to join the complex theory track, especially because we are reading All About Love and finishing up Black Feminist Thought. And I think those are two very, very important books, particularly for what happens in the social media space for Black women, no matter what corner of the universe you exist in, because we're not a monolith, but whether you follow, the Jada Waiters and the Kyle sister Ari and Arrogant Tay, or you you do the Jackie Inas and the Aaliyah Jays and the Arnells and the Alyssas, or, you follow myself and Fort Harriet, or, you're in the femininity scene. I don't know, you do the Chloes and the Chrissies and some of the other crazy people in that sector. I'm not saying those two are particularly crazy, but there's another one I was thinking of who's off the rocker. But regardless of what function of like the universe for Black women that you follow, I thought this book would be a great break, and and encourage people to join the complex theory tracks for the other two books that we are finishing and moving into this month. And so we are doing Such a Fun Age. That was a long, long explanation. I mean, if Alphabet Soup says she is none of that. I don't know. Like, who am I leaving out? I'm just trying to, I can't know everyone. I don't, someone else said they're none of that. I don't know who y'all are like, maybe you're into like the empowerment, the B Simones, the Pretty V, Jazzy, or like you do the Lovies and the Katanas. I'm just saying, my point was that I thought that Black Feminist Thought and All About Love are particularly good books to read for whatever political theory you fall into as a Black woman, and that this would be a good break collectively because we've been doing a lot of heavy reading. And I think I was right. I feel like we hit the nail on the head with this one. And not so much that this is, what am I trying to say? This is not a book that you have to read, right? And why I think this has been such an enjoyable read is because a lot of us have gotten the audiobook version of this. And I kind of picked up the audiobook version by accident. I have a year-long contract with Audible. I still have to pay for it though. And so I have credits because I'm always like preparing for whatever sponsored content they have me do. And so I was like, all right, well, I have credits this month. Let me get Such a Fun Age because we're reading it in the book club. And I kind of just put it on because I was in the car and I didn't want to get out because I was just like, fuck this. Everything sucks. I'm trying to find reasons to stay in the car longer. And Nicole Lewis came through on my car speakers. And I want to tell you, Nicole Lewis, you are a blessing. I was not ready for this to be a soap opera. I was not ready for the As Your World Turns with neoliberal white women. I was not ready for the voices, for the way oh man, she didn't even like do, it's not like, who are the Black guy comedians that like get on the Breakfast Club and do the they mimic famous voices, right? It wasn't even like she switched her voice up that much. Like that, like the dynamic is, I can't say words right now. The dynamics of the production, it was just chef's kiss. You know what I mean? Like some of the best food is the most simple dishes. And I really appreciate the simplistic artistic approach to reading this book. It wasn't like she had to switch her voice entirely. It was very slight changes that we get an Amira, we get a Zara, we get a Josefa, which is such an interesting name. But I also didn't read the book, so I'm just hearing it. So I don't I can't visualize how some of these names are spelled. Um, we get an Alec. We get all these crazy names. What is the daughter's name? You know, and that's the crazy part. I don't hear all these names. I can't. Briar. Like, how do you spell Briar? Like the street? Um, you know, it was just like, and yeah, the Thanksgiving dinner scene with Tamara, right? Like it was just well done, and you had one person narrating this entire book, and the execution was just flawless, and it added so much life to the book, so much so that my mom just said, when nobody knows about this live, it's okay, I apologize. My bad. Um, yeah, but it was excellent, excellent, like well done. And so much so that when I listened to it and I was enjoying it so much, I was like in the car driving to places for no reason other than I needed to listen to my soaps. You know, like I grew up with my great grandmother, and her selection of soap operas was just the soap operas with black people on it. And she'd be like, my soaps are on. It'd be like Guiding Light and As Our World Turns. And then it would change because the black characters would die off. And then another show would get like the black people on it. And that's how, like, that's my recollection of soap operas. So I keep switching my hair over to the other side because I'm reversed in the camera. But whatever. So it was good. It was just really good. So much so that I was kind of like, dag, if you're reading this book, I don't know if you're going to have the same experience. And I understand why there was mixed reviews, because I don't think I would have inserted this sort of artistic expression that Nicole Lewis does while narrating, while reading the book. I don't think I would have been as dynamic, nor do I think I would have taken like the pauses and the breaks. And because the parts end abruptly, right? So like you get, and it's like the end, and then they go part two, and you're like, oh. But I'm hearing it as a soap opera, and you realize soap operas are kind of kitschy, right? Soap operas are kind of clunky, and then, you know, so you're a lot more forgiving of the way the book transitions versus how I would have read these transitions in the physical copy format. So this is a whole long explanation. We haven't even really gotten into the discussion about Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reed. So let me see, there is something on here. I think people can join if y'all want to like chime in. Can I add people? I remember logging in and seeing people and seeing a link to add folks. You know, probably should have looked this up beforehand. But oops. All right, this is too complicated for me to like. Oop, did I stop the live by accident? I should still be streaming now. Whatever, I forgot the link. All right, there was a, let me search real quick. How to add, okay, y'all still see me. I'm just trying to find, like, there's definitely a guest link here, and I don't know where it is. This is so weird. It says click on the guest icon. But where the hell is the guest icon at? Oh, here it is. Invite guest. Okay. All right, let's try this. I don't know how messy this is going to be, but I'm going to insert this on Facebook and then on YouTube, and I'm going to start asking questions. Okay? We'll do that way. All right. So I meant to have my iPad for the discussion so I could look down at the syllabus. But such a fun age. Does anybody follow the reading tips in the syllabus? They're meant to actually be helpful so people don't feel bad about taking long or pausing or not being able to focus. All right, so there are several themes in this book, and I think we all collectively, regardless of how we feel about the book, understand the themes, right? Race, class, gender, Black women in the domestic work sphere, white privilege, white liberalism, and white feminism. And friendships, racial tropes, and classism. I think even like there wasn't a lot of exploration. Well, I don't know. There was. I thought there was a decent amount of exploration into like Amira, Zara's, Josepha's, and then the other little winky dink black girl they was friends with, the little wealthy one. I thought there was enough exploration without it having to like hit them over the head. And about like class stratification amongst Black women, right? That they all went to college, but they all have very different experiences and how that colors their relationships and how they engage with the world. But the book opens with Amira getting a call from what's these people's last name? The Chamberlains? From the Chamberlains, Alec and her husband, because as it turns out later on in the book, we find out that Mr. Chamberlain is a newscaster on Philadelphia News, and he had a slip up, as the whites do, and suggested that a Black boy asking a white I don't know what the race of the girl was, to prom, that her father would definitely have to approve of that. And so because of that, the Chamberlains had their house egged, and the egg somehow shattered a window. Is this the right context? And so they call Myra, who is headed out, or was already out with her homegirls, and so dressed the part, to come pick up Briar, who is their talkative 2-year-old. And what it does follow, though, I think another theme is motherhood and the way in which the girl boss, oh man, the girl boss antics in this book were heavy, right? We have Alec, who is definitely someone who enjoys the benefits of the performance of motherhood. And I think that's a unique experience that a certain type of woman gets to benefit from, that I can perform motherhood even though I don't particularly care for my child. I don't know. I do think by the definition, Well, I don't know. That's a question for those of you who have started All About Love. Does Alec, by that definition, love Briar? Because I don't get the sense that she likes Briar. I think she has a commitment, but no, I guess she doesn't love Briar because she wants Briar to be a certain thing. And then she has this newborn or baby, Catherine, her second child, who, because Catherine looks like her and Catherine's quiet, she has much more of a actual attachment to that child than she does to Briar, who she just passes off to Amira. And I do think that's a very interesting theme overall in the book, is how Amira kind of, her thinking evolves and her understanding grows about the dynamic between Briar and Alec and what that means for who Alec actually is as a mother and what that means for Briar's own identity. So, how does the beginning of the novel with Amira's grocery store incident with Briar set the tone of the novel? So yeah, they end up at the grocery store because Briar is she's just toddlers are terrorists, okay? Like, they your broke friend, they have all these random interests. None of it makes sense. Like, expecting a 2-year-old to be sensical is just setting yourself up for failure, right? So Briar likes to go to the grocery store because, they fancy, they wealthy white folk, right? So they bodega is like an organic market that has like nuts in the barrels. And she likes to look at the different types of nuts and the teas that this organic grocer has. And I guess Zara is there with her. And, it's late at night and they're just trying to entertain a 2-year-old who's outside of her routine. And kill time because this was unexpected for everybody. So they have a dance, and I thought that was actually a really cute scene with like the Whitney Houston music. And, they have a little dance in the grocery store aisle. I feel like, have you all not had this moment? Maybe not with a white child, but I'm saying, like, do a little two-step. I might have been playing Luther Vandross. Never too much, never too much, you know what I mean? Like, and a white woman passes them, says hello, smiles at them. They very kindly return the formalities. And then 10 minutes later, the security guard is coming at Amira, accusing her of kidnapping Briar. And you just see this scene. The scene builds up for most of part 1. I would love to hear from somebody who read the book how they feel about part 1, because I absolutely got the sense when I listened to this that I would not. This was a scene that I absolutely. This and the Thanksgiving dinner, I know I would not have read the same way, at all, because a lot of what I felt and a lot of like why this scene resonated with me was because of the beats that Nicole Lewis took in the narration. All right. In the grocery store, Amira is forced to call Briar's father to prove that she knows the child and is in fact her present guardian. How does this speak to a larger theme of whiteness as a legitimized method of power? All right, let me look at the comments so I can see who's saying what for Facebook. How does Alec remind you of Cora Lee? That's such an interesting comparison. Okay, so Cora Lee is the character from Women of Brewster Place who liked people. Well, I get it, right? They liked the baby, but once Corley was like kind of found her children disposable until Kiswana came into her life. Once her children started walking and talking, she loved. But I didn't get a sense that Alec liked Catherine because Catherine was a baby. I got a sense that Alec liked Catherine because she saw a lot more of herself in Catherine. But that is a very interesting comparison. I don't know. I'm trying to scroll back so I can like see who this is, who said this. Because I can't see your names, and it's just a downfall of doing a multi-stream. I'm so sorry. I would love. Okay, Joy. All right, thank you. Sorry that took so long to get it out. We've been on this 30 minutes. Have we even talked about the book? Like, my goodness, this is going to be a long live chat. I absolutely agree that Alec wants Briar to perform childhood the way that she's imagined it. And I think that's part of like this girl boss thing, right? You have this very surface way of imagining the world, right? But you're not putting the labor behind it, right? Because even if you want your child, you have to invest, right? Like, part of the reason Briar is the way she is because of the way that the Chamberlains raised Briar. And so I just don't, it's like this weird investment that she doesn't have with like a 3-year-old. Alec doesn't like people who are different from her or people who make her look bad, and Briar does. So how does Briar make her look bad though? Because Briar is precocious, and which child did she use to like pop the titty out on stage and be like, I'm a girl boss, mom of the year, ha, follow my brand, buy my t-shirts, be about it, okay? Make me wealthy. Did she have Catherine or did she have Briar with her? And I guess once Briar no longer was I guess in that sense, as Coralie in Woman of Brewster Place, once Briar was no longer a prop. So I don't know, but I still didn't get the sense that Catherine was going to be as disposable. But I don't, I don't think I'm right in that opinion either. Not that I'm taking up for Alec, but she was also going through postpartum, highlighted with a little bit of depression that was exacerbated by her moving away from New York, her safety to Philly. I mean, I definitely think the transition, but it was such, you want to give Alec grace, but then the book does these whole like streams of consciousness about the 8 pounds I've gained, and I mean, look, and this is what the book does get me at. Amira is from the same neighborhood as my cousins who live in Philly, right? So it's an area like the Kensington, North Germantown, North Philly area I'm very familiar with. Um, and then like I lived in New York City at one point in time, going between Philly and New York really isn't that difficult. Amtrak exists. It's at like, it might be a 2-hour train ride, sis. It's really not that bad. People do it regularly. And so like this big gap, this big deal she makes about, she leaving Philly to go to New York and then finally finding her footing in New York and like moving to Philadelphia, like, oh, the drudgery of living in Philly. It's just such like, I don't know, maybe it was a little too white woman for me to understand, but the way it was like, these streams of consciousness, these peeks into Alec's mind that we get in the book, like I just couldn't gather the sympathy for her. Because it's like, is it really that big of a deal? You gained 8 pounds. Like, come on. Yo, this is true. The way the white woman, like, once Amira gets Mr. Chamberlain on the phone, right? And the white woman's just like, oh, okay, and then moves away. But at this point, Amira has essentially been held hostage for like, I don't know how, like, it felt like a really long time. And by a really long time, I mean like 30 minutes. And I really resonated with the way Amira's mind worked, about like, bruh, you're not a real cop, you don't make enough money for this, like, why are you creating this whole hoopla over nothing? And then, the way in which, like, I did enjoy the construction of the scenes around how casually things can go wrong. Like, why did the security guard expect a toddler to be able to properly say who Amira was to her? And if she was able to get Mr. Chamberlain on the phone, like, come on. I don't think you're taking up for her. They're referring to Alec. But in regards to motherhood, it's hard to connect with your first child when you're suckling another child. Really, I don't know. I don't have any children, so I don't have any frame of reference for someone who like has Irish. I mean, are Catherine and Briar Irish twins? I think they're further apart than that. Um, but I don't know. Uh, Someone's saying that with the regards to the Alec and Briar relationship, that this was about her being an individual. Briar sees and experiences the world in her own way. Alec is very self-centered. She has moments where she tries with Briar, but it seems to take quite a bit of effort to do so. I mean, we're supposed to be trying to be linear about this book, and like part one, but it's really like you can't really talk about this book like part one, part two, part three, part four, because it really does, like, it picks up. Part three is like, oh, okay, there's all like this new information that comes about, right? Particularly around Amira's understanding of Alec as a mother, and Amira, like, we're in Amira's consciousness at this point when she says that what gets her about Alec is that she knows and is very capable of being a good mother. That she sees these motherly moments with Briar, and then Briar is no longer the person. Briar is no longer useful to the moment. Briar no longer massages her ego about being a good mother, and then she just discards her because Catherine fulfills those needs for her. And that definitely shapes your opinion of Alec as a mother. Ooh, this is some tea. I'm sorry, I don't know, can't see your name. In this day and age of the Mormon mommy blogger, children can be an accessory, and I think Kylie illustrated that well with Alec and her mommy mafia. Do you think for Tamra's close friend circle that all those women were performing motherhood? Was Tamra performing motherhood? I don't even remember the white women's names, because that Thanksgiving scene with Tamra and Amira, nobody else mattered. Like, all the other names went to the wayside. It was ridiculous. She was pregnant with Catherine, but Briar was breastfeeding. So maybe they are Irish twins. I don't know. But no, she breastfed Briar for like 2 full years, didn't she? So Briar, by this point in the book, is like 3 years old. I'm sorry, me and small details are never the best. Okay. Okay, that was Alana who mentioned the postpartum to Philadelphia thing. And I think when we get to the end of the book and we realize that we hear about Alec, and at this point it's Alex, we get the background about Alex's childhood and her parents and their new money wealth and her uh, tragic high school senior year. But at the beginning of the book, they presented her as somebody who absolutely wanted to be able to move back to Philadelphia. And what is interesting, though, is like, I imagine getting more details about her, that she wanted to move back to Philadelphia as someone who was highly successful. Didn't she do that? So it's still not, maybe it really is just postpartum and she ain't got her wits about her. Oh my gosh, I forgot that she's tall too. She's 5'10" and 141 pounds. Girl, get out my face. Get out. Stop playing with my thick thighs, okay? Leave me alone. Leave me alone. I think Alec wanted to have the best of both worlds, but it was very surface level, whereas Amira was actually a black woman who could be both. Oh, Amira can be what? Because what does Myra become? And I like we can't talk about all elements of the book. I do think that my opinion of the where Amira's life ends up is classist. But I keep struggling with, did Amira have ambition? Because I don't know, okay? Oh man, I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to do that. So in the syllabus, it does ask, Alex struggles with adjusting to motherhood, especially when Briar begins to talk. Even in her daughter's toddlerhood, she struggles to connect with the small child, as she is generally selfish and consumed by her business. Let her speak. How does Alex's difficulty to connect with her daughter introduce popularly discussed issues that arise between mothers and daughters? That is a really good question. I think we've already touched on some of these things, right? Especially in this era, like I feel like this is a very modern book, right? The social media mommy, the as Alana, or was I don't know who made that comment about the Mormon mommy bloggers. But I think even beyond the sort of the way your mother represents an image of yourself, um, the way motherhood is performative, and I think even in a deeper level, I think if we take like the historical approach, the way that motherhood has been shaped to motherhood, womanhood, femininity, all those things has been shaped to benefit white women while keeping black women out and keeping black women in domestic service roles, as we have in this book, right? With Amira being the babysitter and Alec being the all about her life, um, you know, performative mother. Yeah, I mean, this book definitely is a lighthearted modern take on the age-old discussion about the history of the ideology of motherhood, and how it's largely been to the benefit of white women, and at the um, harm of black women. So the syllabi asks us to place the relationship between Alec and Amira in the larger discussion of Black women dealing with racism in their predominantly white work environments, right? Because from the beginning, Amira is consistently skeptical of Alec, especially after the Market Depot incident, and when Alec makes a decision that Amira is going to become her pet project and like help her, like, someone whose life she's going to turn around, and then also like somehow help her brand, let her speak. um Amira isn't really receptive of it, but she doesn't like turn her nose up at it. She just doesn't acknowledge. She's just, she puts her head down and keeps doing the work. And so, and Amira's, like, every time we get a peek into Amira's consciousness, it's, oh well, the pay is the best pay out of all the jobs I have. I don't have good job options. I don't actually know what I want to do for work. And so that's kind of what gets me, though, is like, it's an interesting parallel to the larger conversation of the racism that Black women deal with in predominantly white workspaces. And it forced me to check this, oh, well, just get a better job, like have more ambition. Because if Amira was a more ambitious person, if she was exploring better career options, if she did have an idea of who she wanted to be and what she wanted to do, would that somehow help her to evade racism? Or kooky white women? I don't believe so. Tanisha, this is reading very strong, all caps with the. All right, I have a link because I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking here. This is what I meant to do. See, I'm going to post a link on Facebook. And then pin comment. Okay, and then we gotta go to YouTube. I think I'm logged into my Jouelzy account, so you just see my name as Jouelzy. And then leave the comment there. Okay, let's see if that works. I don't know what that does, if anybody wants to try and join and add their 2 cents in. But let me go through some more of these comments and keep the conversation going. Victoria says, Amira doesn't have ambition to be in a high-level position, but I don't think that should be a flaw. I don't even, see, and that's what I'm trying to battle within myself. Like, because I do see her lack of ambition as a flaw, because she doesn't want better for herself. It's not that she needs to run a company or be a president, but she also doesn't demand more. She waits for someone to say, okay, here's more. And that, like, especially in the way her life went at the ending, it was just like, girl, I want you to just have, I want you to, even though if you're comfortable, I just want you to have a little bit more gumption about the fact that, like, you deserve better. I love that Amira was a very schmegular, degular, and did lack ambition and direction. I enjoyed the book because of that. It felt very normal, if that makes... No, I totally agree. It's like, I think because we're in a book group and we are discussing a book, you're more... I personally am more inclined and want to, like, all right, well, how do I discuss a book? I want to pick the book apart then. But I also, part of, like, why, I could see her lack of ambition as something that's not who I am, and that's not who I would want to be. And so therefore it is some type of flaw. But I also greatly enjoy reading, seeing in various media outputs mundane, regular Black people. Because if we're going to say that Black women don't need to wear capes, if Black women should divest because it's always on our backs to do things, I actually am like, okay, well, Amira don't have to be the rah-rah person. Amira, because I didn't think there was anything wrong with Amira not wanting that video from Market Depot to be shared, right? It's interesting that the white people in her life wanted to make a thing of it because they wanted to cash in on it. And Amira did not, right? And she wanted to keep her peace and keep her life and do the things and twerk a little bit and drink street margaritas with her homegirls. You know what I mean? That's it. And I could appreciate that. I don't need someone who is, riding into the wind of like, yes, I'm going to be the ultimate Black woman ever. She didn't need to be Tamra. Ooh, Amira reminds me of Earn from Atlanta. Just kind of lets life happen to her. Even her love for caretaking was lukewarm. Earn is a teacher. I think you have to have a lot of ambition to be a teacher. Is Earn the teacher? No. Is Earn Gambino's character? I'll never remember names to nothing. Y'all can't be doing me like this. Did someone try to join and I didn't see it? Oh, I guess I see it here. Earn, who is Earn? Now I gotta Google it. Atlanta cast, if I can spell Atlanta. Okay, Earn is Donald Glover. Okay, you're right. For some reason I was thinking of his girlfriend or his baby mom, and I'm like, wait, she really ambitious. But Earn, is she that hapless? I think Amira has some wits about her, which is why the lack of ambition sits so strong. because she does know when things are not in her favor. She, like, you know, she has enough sense, because I don't think a Earn would have been particularly cautious of Alec. I actually think a Earn would have followed Alec's steps. Versus, and Amira is kind of like, girl, and not only do I not want this, but like, I really don't want to have, I don't want to deal with this right now. I don't want to have to be the ambitious person right now. I'm good. I'm good right here. Please let me keep this peace. Let me be. But I think that's a good reference though. That's fascinating. In reality, some of us just want a job to pay bills so we can enjoy life out of work. And I don't think we talk about that enough, or at least not make it seem like laziness. You know, and I think that is real, right? Like, I think, and I was like, okay, so this morning I was finishing up reading chapter 2 because I'm behind on Black feminist thought. And I really deeply appreciate Dr. Collins for reminding us that, like, there is not a singular experience that encapsulates the experience of Black women. And when I think of that in context of being in the space on YouTube, because like there's this like, I don't really think it's that big of a conversation, right? I just think there's particular individuals trying to drive the wedge between this idea of like Black feminists as social justice warriors versus like the femininity or the leveling up movement. And particular to some of the things I've seen with my name involved in it, like on Twitter or whatever, about, oh, how dare these Black feminists tell us, these SJWs tell us to read more. And I'm like, you know, reading chapter 2 is actually, you know, a Black feminist thought is actually like why I would suggest you read, because it's not that you reading more is going to make you agree with me outright, but it would actually allow for this difference in a political theory to be a much more productive conversation versus an attack on people's characters, or what you perceive to be a person's character or livelihood. And you know, that got me thinking further about the fact that we can all do better work to be more inclusive of all types of Black women, right? And that I think there's, beyond this whole like hypergamy versus Black feminism rift or whatever, there's other ways in which this sort of idea of like who gets to be allowed in, this sort of elitism, you know, shows itself. I think like the Black woman empowerment circle is very elitist. And a lot of the ways that Black women influencers in the empowerment space curate their audience is like, who looks as good as me? You know, who shows this image of wealth? Like, I'm going to have a trip and I'm going to say you have to apply for it and only the elite ones of you can come, right? Because what I essentially want to do is make this inaccessible to working class and poor Black women. But we all collectively talk about the struggle as Black women. We all collectively, regardless of what side of the political theory spectrum you land on, we all collectively talk about protecting Black women, right? But do we really allow in the voices of the Black women who are the most vulnerable? And so I appreciate, you know, that's why I keep saying, you know, my knee-jerk reaction to who Amira is as a character is classist. And that's something that I have to interrogate, right? Why do I need her to have ambition? Why do I need her to be a person who is reaching for more? What bothers me about someone who is okay with the life they live and isn't, by all extents, enjoying the life they live? And she's good with it. Like there wasn't anything depressing about the way Amira's life was described. It was more like Amira came to the decisions that Amira wanted to live within. And why wasn't that something that I would accept? Why is that not something that I can't find as like a beautiful story to be told? Like, why does that bother me? And I imagine that for a lot of folks, Amira's ending bothered them. Because you want her to become, and what did she not become something? She became a person she loves. Is that not enough? I do believe we all have been Amira at some point about not knowing where we want to go. I personally just don't personally relate to being okay with saying, okay, we're just gonna go with, I like control way too much to say, all right, you know, I might contour. I might bend. I might flap my wings in the direction of the wind, but I ain't finna just go wherever the wind blows me, all right? I like to, get some muscle memory up in there and say, okay, no, we're going to fly east now, all right? Thank you. But I do think it's a true point. And that's what I come back to is like, do we not relate to that part of our life, especially coming out of college? I mean, and if you're my age, if you're in your early to mid 30s, you came out of college during a recession. A lot of us we had a lot of ambitions based on our parents who had the same job for 15, 20 years and had a pension. After 2008, what's a pension? Unless you go work for the post office. And everybody can't work for the post office. I think the word ambition is very loaded, given capitalistic ideas of control, productivity, money, especially in this book. Definitely makes me uncomfortable trying to critique Amira for not being it. I think that is that's all the language I need to say, like where I end on Amira. Ain't nobody click on the link and try to join the chat. Nobody's trying to join. Somebody try. Somebody pull up. And let me hear what you got to say. I'm sorry you didn't get notified about the live. Do you have your notifications turned on in the Facebook group? I'm sorry. It's kind of my fault, but it's okay. The lives always live in the Facebook group and on our YouTube channel. And we'll do another one. This is kind of a hodgepodge, and it's just hard to talk about this book in a linear fashion because you want to talk about all aspects of this book. But what I'm not going to do is talk about the Thanksgiving dinner. We will save that for the next discussion and hopefully make people more aware about the book we're talking about and give people some time to catch up. And then have a real, and then I want y'all for real for the next discussion. Make sure you come looking presentable in the way that you feel is appropriate so you can join in. We can hear the voices of the book club about what, I could pull up Skype too. Well, she showed jealousy when her friend received a promotion and barely wanted to celebrate her friend because she kept comparing her finances and lifestyle to other friends. I think she did go through a range of emotions about this, right? I don't think she was, that's why I don't think she was clueless. I also don't feel like she was particularly haphazard about her pursuit of life either. I just think that she decided that she didn't want to have to fight she struck me as a person who also didn't like a lot of change. And so she was a very, no shade, no tea, very North Philly. You know what I mean? Like the location of the book and the, the way I was like, I get it and I appreciate it. And I love me a North Philly, South Jersey auntie, right? They got the pixie cut. They got the good government job. They chilling, the townhouse. They might move their ass to Newcastle, Delaware because it's sales tax free and the property taxes is cheaper. But all they want to do is be around their peoples. They're not making no new friends because you don't invite new people over to your house. They little crab boil barbecues. The hair always braided nice. Lip gloss and mascara is all the makeup they need. They be going to the waterfront, the jazz festival on South Street, do a little two-step, little turn up, but they hang with their peoples. And that's it. That's it. Go to Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic. Don't nobody need, now we new bitches, so we go to Dubai too. But and I deeply admire that sort of lifestyle. I've always thought that being able to create the joy that allows you to live regardless of what the world says you need to be doing. Which is why I also want to challenge that knee-jerk reaction I have to Dad, why didn't Amira do more? Because well, why did she need to do more? We have not talked an ounce about Kelly because Kelly doesn't really come up in part one. So let me move some of these questions along. We're going to have to save a lot of the discussion about Kelly for the next one because I think there's part 1, 2, and 3 build Kelly up. And I'm just kind of happy that Amira got to experience that it wasn't a particularly toxic relationship. He didn't pass on trauma. You know, the privilege of swirling. I wish I had more melanin. I would too. Because niggas just be passing on trauma to you. Hold nigga accountable. It's like, well, here's my childhood trauma for you. But Kelly proved himself to be the same as Alec in the end. And the way that the story gets there, there's a lot of discussion to be had about that. But we'll save that part for part 2. I don't know. How can we talk about the part 1 and part 2 of the book? Who is Kelly? Oh, I'm sorry, Aaliyah. I look, you know what I mean? I also want to say that this is nothing about the black women aside from Tamara. Now, okay. We're going to talk about Tamara part 2. But there's nothing about any of these characters that suggests that they are not respectable, qualified. I mean, I think we could deeply, as long as people have gotten to a point of like, I'm okay with who I am, and that's truly who you desire to be, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And I hope that comes across, because that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, like how many women are truly like this, and because of the image of ourselves that we see on social media, feel like they have to feed into more of this image. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's societally, it is thundering and lightning outside, but it is sunny. And I'm like, if you hear it, there's no rain. It is wild right now. But like, how did I just lose my train of thought? It just went with the storm. Okay. Let me get through. I'm like 10 minutes ago in the comments right now. I'm so sorry, y'all. But wait, okay. The only thing that pushed Amira was that she didn't want her parents to find out she wasn't following through with her career and needed the money. It bothered her to not have benefits, stable career, and health insurance. I don't think that was the only thing. But if there was one part of Amira that I really, really resonated with me, was turning 26 and getting kicked off your parents' health insurance. Because that's when I transitioned. That's when I left New York. I left New York at 27, but I was 26. I was like, oh shit, I ain't on my daddy health insurance no more. Baby, I got an adult. Like, I have to make some decisions. Like, I have to start, and you know, you start creating all these standards for yourself, versus actually looking at how the system fails us. But I deeply appreciated, you know, her having this sort of midlife crisis at 26 because she was losing health insurance. And that was a signal to her that she hadn't curated the life that she really wanted to live. I felt that was deeply, deeply relatable. You can't want more for a person than they do for themselves. When Amira wanted more, her friends tried to help her. And I loved her relationship with Zara. And let me tell you, having read Women of Brewster Place before this, and if you have not gotten the syllabus for that, Bree did a great job with that syllabus. Having read the Women of Brewster Place before this and being reminded of Kiswana and that sort of coming into someone's household and trying to project your own image onto them, that's why I had to check myself on Amira, because it's like, look, when Amira wanted something, Amira got up and reached for it, or communicated to her friends that she was trying to do it, which is why I don't think she was a haphazard person. Yes, to further that point, as a culture, we forget to just be. We are typically under the microscope of privileged folk to be hella productive, even if at the risk of compromising our emotional and mental wellness. Speaking of Bree, she has her the podcast, The Pleasure Pod. It's on Spotify. I was listening to she's in the syllabi cohort, but about when can we be soft? And about talking about like, why do I have to be in crisis in order to like be soft and to be cared for? Can we just care for each other? But also like the duplicity of like, when we talk about as a community, like, you know, when you look at Toyin and the failure of a community, right, that happened to her. Well, we're in a community that's already struggling, that's already hurt, and ourselves having a hard time in this current society to get up every day and be productive. How do we both balance the need to be cared for and to care for others? And I thought that was a really interesting point. but that, it also reminds me that I have to consciously both give myself and others the grace that, like, okay, there might be less things to do. We might all have more time on our hands in theory, but like the sort of mental shift and the mental baggage that comes with living through whatever is happening in 2020 is heavy. And everyone can't just be on the grind. Everyone's not going to, get to their workout program and get the body that they want suddenly. And a lot of people that have these capabilities to be the super parent, to be the super businesswoman, to have, this, first of all, a lot of them go to doctors and I would like recommendations. Second of all, a lot of them have money and can pay other people to do things for them. And sometimes we just have to give the grace of, girl, you have done enough today. Celebrate yourself for that. Don't nothing significant need to happen in order for you to celebrate yourself. Yes, the book said she went to Temple University. So Amira did, but it kind of like, and I remember having to double like back on that because I was like, did Amira graduate? How you got Temple make? And I have a ton of friends who went to Temple, and I must tell you, they about as ambitious as a Morehouse nigga. Temple people are also like, there's a great community. I thought Temple was an HBCU because of how tightly knit the Black folk are at Temple, and no, it is a public university. Oh, look, y'all all say hi to my mama. She done joined. She late just like the rest of y'all. It's okay because I had to send her a personal text. So the lateness is my fault, not your fault. And we will do better for the next live chat. If there's one video that I think I need to update the theory that I presented in it, and that my theory has definitely changed, particularly from the books that we have read in this book club, was the video I did about my family not being Black excellence. But I have to go back and watch it, right? Because I don't think I suggested that my family, I think I was actually challenging the idea of Black excellence, but I don't think I challenged it enough, right? Because I still think I had some baggage about this idea that my family wasn't what we often see celebrated as like the Black family. Um, and I think we should definitely unpack, word to Dr. Cooper, who came, Brittany Cooper for Eloquent Rage, and her author chat, who definitely reminded us that as Black women and Black queer folk and as a community, we are only trained to celebrate like marriage, a new job, having children, and I guess sometimes celebrate death, depending on what part of the Black culture you're from. So, I mean, not we celebrate people dying, but, we have, like, we gather and we celebrate the person's life, remembrance of their life. And, that we don't have to, like, why are these small, like, why are only these milestones something that we celebrate? When you think about how much work a lot of us do take on, I think we should celebrate all aspects of ourselves, right? Celebrate the fact that, like, I love you. Celebrate that. You know what I mean? Celebrate, that you got up and you completed a goal for the week. Celebrate the small things and not say that, we can only celebrate these societal things that are deemed as like acceptable milestones. Because we might spend a life not celebrating ourselves. This Black woman in luxury concept, there's a book that is coming up. Y'all be bringing up so many points. Like our readings are really like, I'm enjoying the ways our discussions evolve. Going back and watching the Black feminist thought discussions between Morgan and Nicole Carter, and like seeing the way the conversation evolves and all these other themes that come up within these discussions. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's a book. You know what I mean? We're gonna hit the Black women in luxury. This is my fifth time shouting out Brie, but she recommended a book that deals exactly with this and how part of our activism can be in how we rest, how we reach for rest. And I think this theme definitely comes up in All About Love. Interestingly enough, Bell Hooks does talk about, the culture of domination and how, because of the capitalistic interests of our society, we have been trained to strive to work and to constantly, I have to do more work. And I'm one of those people. I always have more work to do. I am always thinking about how I've not done enough work. And when I got to that chapter in All About Love, I was like, oh, we're getting dragged today. Today we are getting dragged because I do what I love, but I also have turned this into that, like, somehow, because I don't hit certain visible markers, that I have not done enough. And, I need to take Dr. Cooper's advice and what Bell Hooks is telling me and what all these other books are suggesting and the themes that they discuss, that, like, I could celebrate the fact that I'm here. I got here today. Oh man, what did Christian say? What was the pertinent comment from Christian? Maybe that was the one that I put on the screen. I can't see the Facebook users' names. I'm so sorry. My mom says she's only read the first 2 chapters so far. Girl, first of all, I gave you the Audible credit. Go sit in the car and listen. That ain't got nothing to do with me. It's okay, we could even see, I don't even know what gender this person is, so let me not, because I was going to suggest, a little cleavage. Don't hurt. I mean, everybody got cleavage though. Cleavage is not gender specific. Yeah, I mean, show up how you want to show up. I just finished a workout today, so I put pants on by the miracle that is the one above. Is this Christina? Cause who is that, like, little Dicky? I thought Kelly was like, oh, who did I imagine Kelly as? Um, I don't think this is because of how you view white men. I think the book was absolutely written where Kelly, and I think it was a theme. Does Kelly fetishize Black people? Does Alec and Kelly, do Alec and Kelly have a white savior complex? I think that was a very, very, very obvious theme in the book. Okay, Joseph. I mean, Joseph was such a secondary character. There was like a quip about Joseph is the true millennial with being a forever student. Look, I'm trying to go back and get that grant money, baby. The way this economy going, we gotta hedge our bets. But I thought that quip was funny. But Joseph was also a Latinx character. Uh, and I say of all the characters, I probably had the least thoughts about her. She just really didn't matter, and she seemed like a secondary friend to, well, both Shani, is it Shawnee? Shawnee and Josepha, but like, even compared to Shawnee, Josepha seems secondary or third, right? Because there's Zara, who's the best friend, then Shawnee, and then Josepha. But I would love to hear if y'all have more thoughts about her. Wait, first of all, the N-word part don't get dropped to the floor. We do not get to see where Kelly says the N-word. In hindsight, in again, a stream of consciousness, Amira says, and when you hear it, the way Nicole Lewis said it, I stopped, hit the 10-second rewind. I was in the car like, the fuck? But that's after Thanksgiving, so we'll have to talk about that, the next live discussion. Because, yes. What do y'all think about how Alec's husband handled the store incident? How should he have handled it? I don't. I'm gonna let y'all on that one because, and that's also what the syllabus asks about the power dynamic that was expressed in that scene. How does Alec's growing infatuation with Amira signal towards ideas of fetishism, obsession, and jealousy? And what is the symbolism of Alec gifting Amira with the leftover bottle of wine? We're discussing part 1 and part 2 of the book. Girl, Christina, I would like to live in your mind for a few seconds, because how did you see Kelly as a Tommy from Power? I don't pay enough attention to white men to suggest who Kelly is. I'm trying to think if there's like a guy. I definitely have, like, in my mind, I see who Kelly is. I can't relate him to any, maybe like a, who am I thinking of? Like a Matthew McConaughey? No, there's a more recent star. I don't be paying attention to these white boys. I promise you I don't. I'd be like, oh. But like because I'm thinking of like the white men that I see in Charlotte. Like, that keep black friends, but like black upper middle class friends are like all the athletes, and like, they'll have like, like pseudo, like, a little bit longer hair, but not long hair. And it's, nicely shaped up or whatever, and cut and muscular and tall. He struck me as like the average white college guy who's friends with the basketball players. Who is Andrew Schultz? Let us Google Andrew Schultz. Because I don't know who this man is. And we need pictures. This nigga funny looking. How we get... Andrew Schultz looks too Jersey. This is not a Philadelphia person. Hold on, I'm about to put it on the screen. Give me 1 second. Because I'm looking like, oh, okay. It just got real dark. Oh my gosh. Bruh, this is who you... I think he would have to have a little bit more like Pauly D vibes. Kelly absolutely did say he had the taste of a middle-aged black woman, which is why I didn't see him as some of these people y'all are suggesting. Y'all are hilarious. Y'all are sending me. Ooh, girl. My ex is a white man, and I'm still close to his mother, and I can see so much of her in Alec. Bless your heart, sis. This book put a lot of perspective. She would take me from my family and keep me if she could. At times, it felt like a crush. I mean, but to be honest, though, did anybody read this book? And for all the problematic tones between Alex and Amira and the way that Alec viewed Amira, did anyone not think, I could have used them benefits? Baby, I would have milked the ish out of that relationship. Like, I know Alec ain't shit. I know Alec is wrong, but let me guilt trip Alec. Let me get in that role. You know what I mean? And I honestly could imagine, this is horrible. I could be friends with Alec. Like a one-sided friendship. You can see Kelly as, like the blonde, really trimmed. For some reason, I just thought Kelly was blonde. I think it might have been said in the book. This is yes. Okay, Chris Evans. I'm trying to think, like, who are like these? Yes. But like a little bit more urban Chris Evans. Y'all are a mess. Kelly is Drake if he chose to live because Drake does have that choice as a white man and not a black man. Y'all are sending me. Oh, somebody's saying Sam, I forget Sam's last name, the white boy Kappa. And you know what? Sam is from Pennsylvania. He went to, did he go to No, did he go to Villanova? He had PA. He had like what is that, Eastern Pennsylvania? He has a southeastern Pennsylvania Kappa. Not like Philly. He's not from like, because Villanova is not in Philadelphia, but it's close enough that you have that proximity. And Kappas are headquartered in Philadelphia. And so I know he gets in with that mix of Kappas, just because I pledged in the northeastern area, so I know these things. But maybe that would be a good one. And he definitely has a white savior complex. These comments are just hilarious. Y'all know black women love some Christopher Jamal Evans. Y'all are sending me out of here. All right, let me see if there's any other questions I want to ask for the syllabus, because I think we kind of hit on everything. Again, the syllabus is $4.99. It's on sale because it's a bit of a lighter read. So go ahead, grab it. It definitely helps you to kind of put through, like, what am I thinking about this book? And I'm curious about how Reed presented Kelly and Amira's intergenerational relationship. We're grappling with the Jada August entanglement. Was it a healthy? Oh, you know what? Is it intergenerational though? Intergenerational. They were 7 years apart. So she's 26 and he was 33. I have friends that are 26. Like, would you put me as, I do think we are of a different era, but technically we are of the same generation. I think I'm overlapping, right? Like, I'm a millennial, but I don't know. I didn't think the age difference, like August and Jada are like 20 years apart. I didn't think that Kelly and Amira were like too wide apart, that it had to be like this. Woo! Yes, he a YouTuber now with his little black love. So y'all are taking me out here. All right, I'm gonna let a little bit more comments come through, but we are winding down. We did a whole hour and a half. I hope y'all enjoyed this discussion. I hope it was a good time for everybody. And I will do my job better next week. Put this on the calendar on the website. Post this on the YouTube community page. Post this on Instagram. And make sure everyone knows that we are doing a live chat for Such a Fun Age. And we will absolutely come and talk about the Thanksgiving dinner. Y'all be ready to come through and come talk about it on video with me. Maybe we'll just use Skype that time. I gotta test it out. We'll be testing Skype out when we do the author chat with Dr. Collins on Tuesday. Is it Tuesday or Wednesday next week? Now that one I've definitely promoted. Okay, so there's no reason for y'all to act like we went and let y'all know. Okay. I'm gonna holla at y'all later. Everyone have a great night. Stay safe.